I'm a baby. I'm a baby that feels too much. Look at this, like, there we go. I'm so annoying.
Anyway, a little update just to give you something.
Hi, hello. It is Monday, the start of the week. I don't need a backlight, do I? We're using natural light today. It's pretty good, right? Okay. If you've forgotten, I'm Nathan. I read books because reading is sexy. And if you're not reading, you're not sexy. Here with some quick book updates. Over the weekend, I read Exquisite Mariposa by Fiona, Alison, Duncan. This is delicious. This is the epitome of girl dinner. The 3 or 4 cups of Yoplait on one shelf and then on another, gua sha, raw dogging on the shelf, cold and still and sterile. But we have smart, sad LA girl thinking about what is reality and what is one to do with life, love, men, and how to just navigate the world at large. I think if you are a becoming woman in your 20s, this is hot stuff and needs a cult following, because this is good. I'm kind of surprised that this isn't on TikTok or anything, because it should be talked about more. When I first read this, I thought that this was fiction, and then somewhere by like 3rd or 4th chapter, it got so memoiric. It turned into almost like autobiography level, and I was like, wait, what is this? Is this real? What's going on here? And I think what Fiona was trying to do was trying to achieve autofiction, but it wasn't necessarily there yet in terms of construction. But in terms of ideas, it's very internet-centric, millennial-centric. It focuses on, yeah, what it means to be a woman. Very, very funny, very smart, short, sparse. You can probably finish this within a day. Very good beach read. But Fiona's from Canada and transplants herself in LA and navigates LA in almost this like Didion-esque, Babbitts-coded way of looking at LA. What I really appreciate with Fiona's perspective on the city is that LA is a weird fucking place. Because I feel like few people can write about LA in its wondrous and strangeness, because it is an incredibly wonderful place to be, but it's also a weird, very weird place to be. And I think Fiona captures that brilliantly with an honesty that shows very true colors of the city. She does a fab job. For example, I don't think Otessa is at the level of writing about the city and LA. You can see blips and blobs of it, but I think because Otessa is so focused on character that it just doesn't show up as well. You can see it in some of her short stories. Another writer I want to talk about is Melissa Broder. Is it 2 of her novels? Yeah, Death Valley and The Pisces are both sort of set in LA as well, but there isn't a very strong sense of what LA is. Also because I feel like Melissa Broder's focus on character as well. And here Fiona captures the self, almost herself too much, while also creating this portrait of LA that I just haven't read in a while. Thoroughly enjoyed this. Let me read you this portion here because it's just so wonderfully done. I love Los Angeles because it's a never-ending story. There's always something new in bloom. No winter death mourning. The apocalypse has already happened. It feels like heaven and hell. You get to exist on this eternal current, attentive to the subtlest seasonal changes, like Jacaranda and jasmine in spring and June gloom, the only time when our Truman Show bubble blue sky is constantly overwhelmed. It's wonderfully done, and I love to see LA when it's portrayed in its honest form. More people need to be talking about this. All of the smart and sad lit fic girlies. This is a fun one, not to be missed. I think it sort of slumps in some areas, especially the end. Given that this is her first book, I just feel like it almost has a amateurish, debut-y feel to it, but all forgiven in sort of the points that she covers about being a woman and LA. Exquisite, Mariposa. This was gifted to me by Renee from So I Read This Book. Thank you so much. This is such like a cute weekend read, totally made my weekend, so thank you. And then on the Kindle, I had an ARC of New Millennium Boyz by Alex Kazemi. This is out by Permuted Press, September 12th. It'll come out by the time this vlog comes out, so that's really not saying anything. But wowzers, in awe and shock. This is not for the faint of heart, but it's giving Larry Clark, it's giving Harmony Korine, it's giving alt-lit in its subversiveness. It does not shy away from homophobia and misogyny and everything that was so deep-rooted in the turn of the millennium of like 90s going into the 2000s. There isn't, I don't think, a strong portrait of what that time is in its viciousness and aggressiveness that I don't think I've come across. I feel like for all of the dirty birds out there for the 90s, it was Kids by Larry Clark, and I think that captured what the underbelly of society looked like for teen angst and teens during that time in terms of culture, music, the way they spoke to each other, and the mannerisms, fashion, and just like the grime of it all. Then came, I want to say, Harmony Korine's Spring Breakers, which is like, I want to say a pretty good portrait of what like 2012, 2013 Disney princesses gone bad was like. Like there was a moment for the girls during that time. Miley Cyrus, Smokin' Pot, Demi Lovato as well, Selena Gomez, just sort of these girls who just didn't want to be captured in this like perfect portrait that Disney like lavishly painted upon them. That was their breaking point, their breaking core, and I think it allowed a lot of the ways that women at that time found freedom in how they could not only just perceive themselves, but allow the public to perceive them. Allow them also to play much stronger roles that just broke quote-unquote character. They didn't want that goody two-shoes image anymore, you know? Women get sad too. Women go on the brink too. And they have feelings, hard feelings, and they're allowed to portray that. Those are very good portraits, Harmony Korine and Larry Clark, in terms of sort of the transgressive nature of image. And for the Millennium, I don't think that, or I haven't read it yet, but a good portrait of what that looked like. And I think this is the first. I think this is sort of revolutionary in the way that Kazemi creates this world of Brad Sela, who's living in sort of an apathetic suburban life that's affluent, but he gets into a lot of different antics. There's a strong sense of culture with the way Kazemi name drops, in a sense, to different tracks like Blink-182, Blur, Fiona Apple, as well as mentions of Bret Easton Ellis and Glamorama. Just a slew of like other cultural references during that time. Downtown, I was surprised. There needs to be more love for Downtown, a show by MTV that was put out, and I think also captures that essence of what the turn of the millennium sort of looked like. But Kazemi approached this by writing within that time period and creating a portrait of that time period. There isn't any sense of exterior forces tainting sort of the violence centering around that time. And I think that's where Kazemi shines through. Also, most of the book is done in dialogue, which I think is pretty incredible, because I think not that Kazemi had a cinematic approach to his work, but an almost screenplay-ish look. I think he already imagined it for television or like a mini-series. There's this almost like strong Skins vibe to it. Again, not for the faint of heart. It's brutal, it's gruesome, a lot of profanity, and can offend many people. Yeah, again, if like Larry Clark made a film or like TV show about the Y2K generation and sort of the teens existing during that time, this would be it, written form. Just finished that today, had a pretty wild end, and I was just had the wind whipped out of me. September 12th, out by Permuted Press. New Millennium Boyz with a Z. And then after that, I felt like I needed to have my sort of rest and relaxation. And so I'm doing a buddy read with Yena. We're doing The Boy and the Dog by Seishū Hase. I'm a mere 30 pages or so in, and it's so adorable. It's about a boy and a dog. And the boy is sort of lower income, has a mom who's very sick and just needs money to provide, and takes this dog along with him and goes on these money heists and makes more than he does usually in a month, and is able to provide for his mom now. And he doesn't know where he found this dog, and there's a sort of looming mystery into where the dog's coming from. But so far it's cute. It's a cute little story, and I'm a big fan of the dog. The dog's a cutie. I'm having a good time. And I have book mail. I was wonderfully sent this. Shall we take a peek? We got Jhumpa Lahiri's Roman Stories, ARC. I think she's getting a resurgence because this is coming out, but what is it? The book about the ugly covers and whereabouts? I haven't done Lahiri since Interpreter of Maladies. Read it a while back, I think in my undergrad, and fine collection of short stories. I haven't read like post-Italian Lahiri. I only read pre-Italian Lahiri. I really wanted to read the one where she like wrote a book both in like English and Italian, but I just never got around to it. Decided to do this, see how her writing has changed, if it's changed at all. Those are the book updates. I'm in the last week for August. It's that time, you know, where I'm panicking and I just want to cram as many books as I can into the month. Call it a month for that wrap up. I'm give or take 92 books in my Goodreads challenge, so we're almost at 100, which is kind of crazy. I think I have like 5 or 6 DNFs of the year, so I'm gonna try and make that up to 110, shall we say? Let's do 111. That sounds fun, right? I think that's quite possible. Okay, before this becomes too long, I'll leave you now. Boy, oh boy. I did not think I was gonna go into the city today, because really, I just want to stay at home. But I'm going into the city today just to do some things, and then I have to go into the city next weekend. Anyway, I was hoping to stay in, but we're going out. And before I do that, I want to talk about some books, because I feel like, and also by the way that these are edited, I'm not quite sure how all of this will be compiled, so I apologize if they've been quite chatty. As much as you, I'm sure, enjoy listening to me talk about books, I hate editing myself. It's not a good time. Not a good time. I'm so annoying. Okay, but here to talk to you about some books. We got a mix of physical stuff and ARC stuff, and some of these are quite a lot, but I'll try and compress everything in a nice, fashionable way. So, the first, I read The Boy and the Dog by Seishū Hase. Cute. Cute. Shiloh takes on Japan. The dog ends up meeting a bunch of outcasts, outsiders of Japan, all across Japan, finding new homes in the lives of these people. It's sweet, it moves very quickly, very easy to read. The sort of side quests that the dog goes through is just like fun to read through. What this book made me think about was, what do we claim? What authority do we have to put name on an animal? And as this dog is sort of traversing through all these different people, they give him different names, different meanings based on their past and what they've experienced. This dog just like continually takes on new names and becomes in essence a different character only because of the perception of these people. I think the core root and goodness of the dog is still there, but it's kind of crazy when you think about like the people that you meet. Every new person that you meet only understands you from that contemporary part of your life. Or it reminds me of this girl where she had like these eras of herself, and in every era she gave herself a different name. And the people who knew her in that era only know her by that name from that era, if that makes any sense. It's a bit like this. And yeah, what authority do we have to claim something? What authority do we have to put a name to something? And what does it mean to own something and pass it on if it's a living, breathing animal? I'm not one of those people that willingly lets an animal into their home, but this made me think twice about that. I love this dog, Timon. He's a cutie. Yeah, any dog lovers out there, you'll like this. Anyone who grew up reading Shiloh, it's a cute, sweet, easy read. The Boy and the Dog. After that, I don't know why, but I decided to go full on heady and read Non-Things by Byung-Chul Han. I briefly talked about this in a live that Kiran and I did. You should watch that because we're both sexy readers. And it's chock full of great book content and just fun stuff. Non-Things. His whole premise is that the world is moving away from physical things and is headed towards this infatuation with non-things. The cloud, photos, streaming, AI, all that jazz. Which I don't think is true, because I feel like during the pandemic, when everybody was a homebody, everyone became a homebody, we relied a lot on the things within our given space and decided to spruce it up a bit. So we relied on things a lot, and I think there was this love that came back for one, furniture, and two, just thinking back about what we have and the things that bring us so much comfort, while also, you know, falling into deep holes of TikTok and such, which Byung-Chul Han is concerned of. This whole idea that AI is quite dangerous because it's moving at a rate in which we are caring less about our lives. As constant content is being created, we close our eyes less, and so there's less silence, less boredom, all of the quiet moments that are so inherent and important to our lives. One example I gave in the live was this service in San Francisco, I remember, where if you didn't have time to do your laundry, you could find someone on this app that could do the laundry for you. It's things like that where it made me think about this little thing that Ben had in his Instagram story, or I think it was in his Instagram story, but he had talked to, it was just this little thing where he said he had gone out to do his laundry and just spent that laundry time reading. And it's just moments like that where we really need to sit within ourselves, sit within our silences, and not feed into sort of the de-caring of what's so inherent to human life. Some parts are completely boomerish. He hates selfies, he hates the Kindle. He's very much someone who would probably prefer walking or riding a bike than taking an Uber and reading physical books, which is fine. I'm all for that, but sometimes you can't get access to it. So it comes from a sense of privilege. It's hard for me to get books. I mean, it looks like it's easy, but you know, one, it's expensive. Two, sometimes I can't afford it. And three, I have to be very particular about what I decide to pick up and curate, because also it's expensive to move books across waters. Sometimes I rely on the Kindle for a lot of stuff. That's why I read so many ARCs, because like if I know future Nathan would want to read these books, I decide to pick them up now because it'll be hard for me to get later. Really slim. It's like 80 pages, quite easy to read, very interesting. This was written in 2020. I want to make a correction. I said in the live that this was written in 2004, but it was actually written 2020, right before the pandemic, I believe, and I don't think he saw the pandemic coming. And still though, very interesting thoughts about the idea of AI and the fears around it, especially, you know, with this writer's strike and, you know, big media trying to scrap out its writers for AI, which is quite silly. Then I had an ARC of Alison Rumfitt's Brainwyrms. This was sort of my other anticipated read of the year for spooky season. We're dealing with two characters in love. They've got pretty wild kinks, and in one of them, there are these worms. These worms are in her body. They're rotting her from the inside out. Thoroughly disappointed by this one in that I came in expecting body horror, and I feel like it was marketed as body horror, and I was like, ooh, yes, great. Because I enjoyed Tell Me I'm Worthless the year before when I read it. And I just loved Alison Rumfitt's ability to combine socio-political terrors with haunted house ghost horror. And she blended them beautifully. It was so good. But here, I think it just comes off as Alison Rumfitt being on Twitter for too long, and that totally watered down her prose and just ended up delivering a pretty lackluster book focusing, one, the most interesting part, interior terrors that occur. Like, what actually do we own within our bodies? If it's bad, how do we exercise it out without harming others? Are we able to do it without harming others? And is it just inherent to how we live? How do we exercise things outside of us in healthy ways while also exploring underground kinks? There's some great wild sex scenes in this book. Lots of fun. But then there's like this also heavy onslaught of just like Twitter writing, some of which occurs online, but also sort of in this internal monologue in our protagonist, that though I think some of the dialogue that occurs, because there are moments where our protagonist is like basically talking to themselves and the voices feel very distinct, but also feel like a full-on conversation. But it's in that internet writing where I think the book fails, because it focuses on too many different things and just being too angry and apathetic about online spaces, and just feels way too close to contemporary society that it just feels a bit kitschy, camp, and doesn't really flesh out as well. And also, there was only one body horror scene. One! I was so disappointed. I was like, oh god. This is less of a horror novel and more of a terror novel, in that there are elements that surprise, shock, make us feel very disgusted, but not in the horror genre sense, just in kinks and really just disgusting moments that, yeah, once again, if you're a fan of transgressive lit, you'll have quite a jam with this one. I think one of the only books I've read, you know, out of everything I've read, I tend to read a lot of transgressive stuff, of like kink stuff, sort of the underground nature of it all, I don't think has been surfaced to the literary world. So I will give a shout out to that. But Brainwyrms, Alison Rumfitt. There we go. Okay, and as of now, I'm doing a buddy read with Kat's Field Notes and Dog-Eared Musings, Kat and Monica. We're doing Roman Stories by Jhumpa Lahiri. I will say, at first story, is alright. It was alright. And then it's when we got to discussing about things that things are stirring up. I'm thinking a lot about them. I appreciate them a lot more. But we have stories centering around the expat experience and sort of the loneliness of it. And I'll leave it at that. I'm about halfway through. I'm in the second portion of the collection, and there are a bunch of stories surrounding race, class, and the minority experience within Rome. So they're all short stories centering around Rome. To balance this out, because I hate reading short stories back to back, I have an ARC of Tremor by Teju Cole. It feels very much like a really good history lesson. Like, I'm turning on History Channel and I'm learning a lot. Not much is going on, but I'm learning a lot about Indigenous people, the Black experience, the idea of space, and it's just really rich. There's a lot I'm picking up and learning on like an academic sense. Not very far into it, but those are the first impressions. I have to get ready soon, so I'm gonna get out of my pajamas and figure out a fit, show y'all, and then hustle my poofies out. Today I've got to deliver some stuff to a friend, and then what else do I have to do? I have to pick up some like face moisturizer because I'm running out, and I want to move into using this one by Muji because it's like super light, and I tend to really like Muji stuff because it just is very palatable to my skin. I have like really sensitive skin, and I find that their stuff just is good stuff. I also have to go to Uniqlo to pick up some socks and underwear. Exciting stuff, because I've got socks with holes in them, and that's a big no-no. Actually, no, I have enough underwear. I don't need underwear, I just need socks. And then I think I'm having dinner with some friends. And then that's it, that's the day. I guess I'll show you the book now. I'm deciding to bring. As a buddy read, I've sort of just been doing a short story a day, and I find that just helps. It's really nice to just like wake up and read a short story, and great way to start the morning. As much as I'm enjoying the Teju Cole, it's a lot, like academically. I'm realizing I'm like losing focus much. It feels very much like you're in the classroom. So to get out of that, I decided to do this, Consent by Nina Rain. It's a play. It'll be nice to just read this, and then if I feel too tired from the Teju Cole, I'll dip into this. Probably finish it within the day, and I'll let you know how it goes. All right, that's 22 minutes on all these books. Whew. Look at this, like, I can't speak today either. I feel like I haven't spoken to a human being in a really long time, but that doesn't make any sense. Kiran and I did live, like 2.5 hours on, what was that, Wednesday? So it's just like, I don't know. I haven't talked about books in a while, I guess. Like my own reading. Okay, anyway, before this goes on for too long, be well, do good work, keep in touch. Hadley ho, y'all, we did the costume change. We're bringing out the whale spawner Adidas tee. I decided to tuck it into my undies. Can you see what my undies say? That's right, 'tis my mantra. And lemme, what the heck? Oh, I think this is called the pocket bag, or the messenger pocket bag. It's with, of course, the book pocket. We're doing Consent. Nina Rain. Yeah, with a pair of white jeans. It's gonna be like mid-80s. It's kind of gloomy. I think muggy. I don't know, I haven't stepped outside. But this is what's going on. Let's go. New angle, hi. I'm on the floor because I feel like I need to be grounded. Not that I've done anything bad. You know what I mean. I need to be on the ground. I am talking to you post past lives, and you know, I knew the movie was gonna wreck me. I knew it was gonna wreck me, but I didn't know it was gonna wreck me that much. I just came out of that and also just like a really long FaceTime call with a dear friend who understands past life Nathan. And yeah, we used to cry at Panda Express together for like 4 hours. So she's a good one, true one. There's like yin yang in us. If you haven't seen the film, please do. It'll wreck you. Yeah, just came out of massive snot break, but then she's texting me right now. Just sent a bunch of heart emojis. I love her. But I'm here to tell you that you need to watch the movie, because you should, and I'm feeling a lot, but I need to talk about Consent by Nina Rain, a group of friends at a party. I think it started at a party. I don't know. Those were the feelings. Those were the vibes. It was some sort of meetup. And then we find that one of the friends harms another friend in a particular way. And you can probably gather by the cover and the name itself what occurs. And it really centers around the legal framework and also really high intense emotions surrounding this particular event within the friendship. And 2 or 3 of them work in law, and there are these different kind of justifications from a friendship base, history base, relationship base, and also law itself in maneuvering technical word choices, actions around what occurs in this. It's brilliant. It's really fast-paced. The dialogue's all there, the beats are all there. The characters feel so fleshed out and real that I felt like if this was within any friend group, all the friends react in really ugly ways, and even the ways that we are surprised by their ugly ways, they just feel very real and true. And I don't think I could ever handle probably seeing a live version of this, but I could imagine the intensity that is there, because it just starts here and then goes 0 to 100 real quick, brilliantly done, and with such an incredible ending that really makes you think, like, what are the limits of love? How do we go beyond those limits? The amount of trust as well. What do you do? What do 2 people do when you've tried them true, tried them wrong, and move on? It's that bump, it's that motion over, it's the transitioning into the what happens after, living with it. Mere 90 pages, so it's short, wonderful. I think it's written strongly, and from what I've read in other reviews, this seems to be sort of the moment where Nina Rain's writing shifts into really intense and well-written dialogue. If you're looking for a play, because I totally think people should read more plays, this is a good one. Content warning, I recommend you read the summary on this before you pick it up, but good stuff, and I just love this cover. It's so good. I just love this blue, and it follows through with the font and this sort of this like hand-painted portrait of a man melting into a woman melting into a man. Who knows? But good stuff. To be honest, I'm still feeling a lot. Like, this is the first time I've wanted to like immediately jump into an immediate rewatch of a movie. Celine's song, like, I don't know how you did it, but you got me good. You got me good. And God, what a precious film. This is like going into my top 10 most stuff. Anyway, it's Sunday. Yesterday was fine. It's nice to just like see friends. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Good to see them again. I did not get socks or my skincare, so I think I have to do that next weekend. Also because I think I'm getting a haircut. It's like, there's this moment where like the hair like vines over my ears, and that bugs me. I don't know why. I think because it like makes my glasses greasy, and I hate that. I hate when my glasses are just like nasty. Anyway, I'm talking too much because I really don't know what to do with my feelings, but you know what? I'm gonna practice what I preach. After that live with Kiran, and I'll link it down below if you've missed it. It's a fun one, but just the idea of sitting within your silences and not immediately having to pick up your phone and like scrolling through TikTok because you don't want to think about something or like feel something. I'm gonna sit with my feelings and just let it sort of engulf me, envelop me. Be an active human being. But God, why is it so hard to be a human being? For real sometimes, y'all. Yeah. Like, why is it so expensive to be a human being, and why is it so complicated to be a human being? It's like I didn't ask for all this complexity. It's just like, how did I even get through a little life? Sorry, as I was talking to you, the camera, it's just sitting on my shelf there. I'm just like, and I'm thinking of doing a rereading of that? Oof, I don't know. But let me tell you, I am a crybaby. Fiction moves me, even if it's like the tiniest thing. I don't know. I'm a baby. I'm a baby that feels too much. But what is it? Call me by your name. To feel nothing at all. What a waste. So at least I'm not wasting my potentiality of my humanness. As if that's something to brag about over other people. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna sound like a psycho if I go on any further. So, watch past lives. Let me know if you've seen it. Let me know if you are feeling the way that I'm feeling, which is a lot and overwhelming and heavy. Maybe I'll take a nap. You know, nap does it. Nap does it sometimes, you know? You wake up and you're like, oh, I'm still here. A meteor hasn't fallen through the ceiling or anything, you know? Okay. On that note, be well, do good work, keep in touch.